Hello and welcome back to COM 3200 Interpersonal Communication. We are going to be discussing Learning Module 2 today. So second week, language, nonverbals, and listening. Now this week we're going to be delving into one of my favorite topics in the whole world of communication. I know that I kind of sound excited about everything. I kind of am, have to be honest. It is my life passion. I love what I do. But nonverbal communication is my baby. I enjoy nonverbal communication so much because it really communicates so much more than just our verbal words do. Now, nonverbal communication makes up a lot of our personal communicating. I want you to think of it. If communication is 100%, how much of that percent would you say is nonverbal? 50, 30, 60, 75? It's actually up to 93%. So 93% of all the communicating that happens between people comes from our nonverbal communication. Now this is exciting and scary because think of how much of our world is communicated through technology nowadays. If you have ever sent an email or a text message that somebody else misinterpreted, or you received a message that you misinterpreted, you have been privy to the challenges that come with nonverbal communication. This is why the world of emojis and avatars and web videos have been explosive in the past few years because we're trying to bring nonverbals into a very, very literal verbal world. Since you were taking online class, you probably had the expectation of having not so much nonverbal communication with your classmates. Your nonverbal communication would likely be expressed with exclamation points, question marks, ha-has, LOLs, and other such online verbiage that helps you communicate what your mood is. Some of you might have at this point already included smiley or frowny faces in your texts and your writings to us because you're trying to in some way communicate to other people what you are doing here and what you are feeling here while you communicate. Nonverbal communication isn't just listed as body language, though. And as you read through this week's textbook passage, you are going to find out that there's so much more involved. There's eye communication, which is oculesics. There's paralanguage, which is how you modulate your voice. There will be kinesics, which is the body language and facial expressions. There's going to be proxemics, which is how you study the distances, how we use distance to communicate. There's just so much. I really want you to focus this week in your personal lives and in your interpersonal communication, whether at home or at work. I really want you to focus on these different forms of nonverbal communication because they will truly open up your eyes to a world that you really probably didn't pay that much attention to before. Nonverbal communication is fascinating. I mean, truly. How many of you like to watch people? You are people watchers. If you had to sit at the mall and on the bench for like 2 hours, you'd be happy as a clam because you got to watch people. I'm definitely one of those people. I love communicating. I am a presenter. I work at conferences quite a lot, but I also enjoy being able to sit back, close my mouth, and just watch. It's really a beautiful study. So this week you were going to be exploring other topics, but you're going to, I'm in love with nonverbal, so of course that's the one I'm excited about. With nonverbal communication, of course, is listening, also watching, but a lot of nonverbal communication comes from how we change our vocal tonations or the pauses that we insert in our speech, and again we can also listen at people's facial expressions. Truly, if you've said something and someone gives you the look, if you've listened with your eyes, you're probably going to pick up on something there. Fun stuff. I really enjoy it. Moving down the page, your responsibilities this week are to read about language, nonverbals, and listening. As always, you will have a discussion post, but you do have a couple of other assignments this week, so please make sure you're on top of that. Ask me any questions that you have. Now, check your learning outcomes. They are for you. That's your purpose for this week. Please make sure you are aware of your purpose. Moving through it, again, language, nonverbals, and then mindfulness in listening. Now, with listening, something that people often forget is that listening should make up a full half of our communicating. Be honest. How many of you listen just as much as you speak? How many of you all listen more than you speak? And how many of you listen less? Generally, most people's personalities make us want to speak more than we want to listen, but there are people who do have the natural listener's personality. If that's you, awesome. I love listening. Obviously, I'm a speech teacher, so I love talking, but truly my happiest place is in the background somewhere where I can just listen and watch. Listening is a very important skill, and something that you need to really remember this week is that it is a learned skill. Listening is not just something we do naturally. It is not just the hearing of sound. Hearing is when sound reverberates in our eardrums. Listening is a psychological choice that we have to make. If you've ever lost interest watching a video like this one, or in class during lecture, if you've kind of drifted off for a moment, that is because your psychological choice to listen has faded for a little bit. The adult attention span on average is 20 minutes anyway, so if you have an hour-long class period, you're going to get lost at least 3 times because your body is just kind of over it. With listening, you can train yourself to listen more and to improve your memory. My husband has the worst memory known to mankind. I'm actually pretty impressed that he remembers who I am. I'm telling you, it's awful. We are working on listening skills because if you do train yourself on how the listening process goes and the different forms of listening and the different styles of listening, believe it or not, we all do have completely different styles and how we listen. You really can improve your memory because it's going to stick better. It's kind of like studying something that's interesting to you versus something that's not. If you've read a book on, say, autocrosses, because autocrosses are your thing, you love everything to do with cars, you're going to remember that information. You could be an encyclopedia on the multiple different forms of the Mustang. However, if, say, communication is not your love, it's not your passion, then you're probably going to gloss over the information and not very much of it will stick. Working on your listening process, your psychological listening process, can improve your memory to make it a little bit less of a chore and more interesting and more useful to you. Again, everyone has their own different style of listening and the things that we like to listen to, so we'll be exploring that a little bit as well. Moving on, though, you have a quiz as always, and you have additional resources as always. Please use those. And this week you only have one discussion question instead of 2. Please do remember to organize your answer and to answer each part of the prompt, not just a part of it. As you can see, it is broken down there by point by point. Please make sure that your posts are organized so that I can clearly see that you have critically analyzed and responded to each part of the prompt. Again, remember, when you have comments on your classmates, believe you have to have 2 comments this week on your classmates' posts. Please make sure that it is a thoughtful comment, that you again have not just given the thumbs up, you have given an analysis of their response. Moving on to the meat of this week, you have 2 small assignments. One, well, small is probably a arbitrary term. One of them is a paper, so that's not necessarily small. Your first one is to write a memo, and the assignment explanation is there for you in DocX and PDF form. You are going to read about the gender speech communities, and you're going to write a 1.5-page memo about that and provide real-life examples and applications. The rubric is, of course, included there with the description of the assignment. If you do not remember how to write a professional memo, I'm going to show you where you can find some resources for that. The second part of your work this week is going to be the TED Talk analysis paper. This is a 4-page APA style paper about nonverbal communication and your listening skills. So you are going to be watching a video, analyzing the speaker's nonverbals, analyzing your own ability to listen, to organize, and to remember, and then discussing what the actual video was about, which the topic is vulnerability. Now, there's also a handout for you that you can access that will walk you through how to write an APA paper if you have forgotten that or if you haven't encountered it before. As always, please open up the document or the PDF, whatever your computer is okay with, and read the instructions fully. I am the type of person that needs something in my hands, so I print out these items and highlight them and note take on them, write out all of my questions. So whenever, if I was a student at this point and I had to contact someone, I have all of my questions listed and I can email them all in one go, as opposed to trying to remember what your questions are. You could do that. And then there will be a second location that you can look for some support here. Now, if you kind of go back up here to your learning modules and go to that home page there, there's going to be a folder here called Useful COM Documents. And if you come in there, you and I might have a couple of different documents, but you should have generally the same information. It has a document here on writing memos, and then it also has a document here for APA style papers. So those resources are there to refresh your memory or give you some context and background for what you were doing. Now, if I can help you in any way, as always, please contact me with any questions or concerns. And if you have any thoughts on how to do it or examples or anything you'd like to draft and have me look at, please contact me. Please also keep in mind that next week you are going to begin your course project. So kind of phase 1 of the project begins next week. So please overview that and let me know if there's anything I can assist you with. I hope you're having a great day, and I will talk with you soon. Have a good one.